Good evening. I'm Enari Darklor and welcome to Churikua.
Here in New Jersey, life can be both challenging and simple, depending on wherever you prefer to live, in the city or the countryside. Although often living in the countryside isn't a guarantee of peace and quiet either. I am from Pine Barrens, from a farm, where we devote ourselves to daily farm work. In my case, a farm where we raise chickens. The routines involving keeping everything in optimal condition, feeding them, cleaning the areas, and maintaining the right temperature inside. These are, are constant. Not to mention household chores and schoolwork. I remember that when I was at home, I was always driven by the need to clean up after myself and keep things in order. Sometimes we had problems with badgers, raccoons, and foxes that would prowl our property and kill the chickens. That's why we relied on Smart, our dog, a Belgian shepherd who would alert us whenever one of them came into the property. There came a time where the nighttime attacks became so frequent that Dad trained Smart to stand guard where we kept chickens. Every time we heard him bark at night, Dad would pick out a gun and see Smart running after Don. Every time we hear him bark at night, Dad would peek out and see Smart running after something. Any animal stalking the chickens would flee in terror, and after being chased by Smart, it would end up running deep into the woods or leaving our property. Once we got used to Smart's excellent work, that stopped going out. Sometimes he'd just peek out the window or decide to go back to sleep until one night he came across an even more terrifying predator. One autumn night, we heard Smart barking. He kept barking and barking, but then we heard him whimpering. My dad went out armed, but grabbed a gun. Mom grabbed a gun and stood at the front door. We heard the commotion of the chickens and Smart's whimpers. Dad went out carefully, and I stayed behind Mom at the front door. Dad fired a shot into the air, and right after that, we heard a growl and saw something huge fly off. We couldn't believe what we saw. Smart at the barn door, injured but alive. Once Dad saw that there was no danger, we rushed to his aid. We grabbed some blankets, loaded Smart into the car, and headed to find bed. The next morning, we saw feathers scattered around, the remains of some chickens on the ground, and most unsettling of all, mixed in with the blood of the chickens and Smart's blood were hoof prints. We looked for tracks in the mud, but they barely went a couple of meters before disappearing, as if it had vanished into thin air or flown away. Mom simply explained,
The Jersey Devil.
according to what my mom told me, it is a creature that lives in the region, here in Pine Barrens, basically a demon with hooves, wings, and the face of a horse or a donkey. There are many stories about its origin, but the one my mom told me was that a long time ago there was a family named Leeds. Mary Leeds, or Mother Leeds, was about to give birth to her 13th child, who, whether due to a thought or because of his father's fate, and lineage was destined to be devil. Shortly after birth, the transformation took place, after which the child flew away, leaving home behind, destined to remain here in Pine Barrens, attacking animals and any unfortunate souls who venture into the woods, especially late at night or during inclement weather. He continued to defend our home from animals and predators, but there were nights when we'd hear growling and he'd run off, scratching at the door, begging to come in, only for us to find the next morning that some chickens were missing and there were footprints on the ground. It strikes me that it has been flying over the area for centuries, and if it weren't for that night where I, too, saw it fly, I wouldn't have believed for a second that it existed. Not only I saw it flying that night, although many people didn't believe me, I know what I saw. What do you think? Is it the Jersey Devil real, or was it just a figment of my imagination?